is to destroy. It's devolution written in our blood. No redemption.
Well, then, I think we're live.
Are we?
Yes.
Excellent.
We are
Hello,
live.
everyone.
And, I've just got to say flat out, I am finding that Ironcast Night really shares a lot of my musical interests. I mean, the fact is, he was aware of Amelia Arsenic. Most people don't, seriously. Way, way underrated, in my opinion. Her work's great. I don't think she releases enough. But anyway.
Hi.
What's up, bitches?
Well, I just got reminded of a great charlatan in history. And I'm kind of giddy about it now.
Yeah?
Yes. He implanted people with goat balls.
Oh, Goat Ball Man, yeah.
Yes. He also had the very first radio doctor program in the world.
He was the original Dr. Phil.
He was the original Dr. Phil and the original Dr. Drew. Specifically Dr. Drew, because he had a huge fetish with people's sexual habits and glands.
Ah.
Hence the goat implantation.
That's right. Call in right now to the Love Doctor. Let's talk about glands.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me all about your glands, Dr. Goat Balls. Line 1. You're on the air west of the Rockies. So you're telling me that aliens put goat balls in your sack. You have 4 testicles, do you?
Rocky Mountain oysters.
Rocky Mountain.
Actually, he was out of Kansas City, Missouri. Originally, he was out of Kansas City, Missouri, and then when they booted him out, they closed down his radio station there, so he went down to Mexico.
Well, hey, if you can't do it here legally, go to Mexico.
Indeed.
Like plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
You want someone to do something really illegal to your body? Go to Mexico.
Yeah, pretty much. Or go to a motel outside of the airport.
So, what would have been funny is if you had implanted the goat balls and they worked and you had a goat baby.
You laugh. You laugh. The thing is not now. If anybody wants to look him up, there's a great book called Charlatan to find. I can't remember the name of the author, but the person that we are talking about, his name is John Romulus Brinkley.
Romulus.
Yes, Romulus. And you have to be specific, John R. Brinkley, because because he is a junior. His father was also John Brinkley, so you have to be specific.
Was he legit?
His father was legit, yes. So John Romulus Brinkley, actually, it started as a joke where he had a bunch of fake doctorates. He never actually, he did go to medical school. He just never graduated, but he would pay various diploma farms to give him diplomas so that he could practice in various places. And one of his patients came to him saying, hey, I need some help down there. And John had been doing a lot of research into animals and which animals were the most virile. And he joked, well, I can just pop a couple of goat testicles in you. And his patient is like, yeah, that sounds great, let's do it.
See, this is why I like doing shows with you that are random.
Mm-hmm.
When you're relaxed, this is the weekend, you're not working.
Nope.
You don't have any tension.
Nope.
You're happy. You took me out to a sushi lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in that mood, when you're relaxed, you'll come on the air and talk about goat balls.
Yeah.
This is the side of you we don't get enough of. You relaxed.
When you're relaxed? Well, isn't that why you started getting me plowed while I was on the air?
No, that was why you started getting plowed on me.
You started getting me plowed.
Well, yeah, after work.
That got started because you would ply me with drinks.
Well, yeah, because you were so stressed out.
Yeah.
But now you're just happy.
Yeah, I'm just happy right now. My house is clean.
You do not need ethanol aid.
No, I do not need ethanol aid today.
No, you don't.
No.
So, what do you want to talk about? What subjects do we have other than the good news?
Look
what's on the screen.
Whatever you want, sweetheart.
Let's start with what's on the screen.
Okay.
Spread the word.
It is available in paperback. Yay!
Finally. Fucking finally. Took them fucking long enough.
Yeah.
For them to say, oh yeah. Yeah, you've proven everything.
I really think that it was the fact that I called them, I wrote to them, and then I sent them everything yet again, all within 24 hours for them to go, oh shit, yeah, they do have all their ducks in a row. And then they agreed to it.
I think next time we should just send them the links to Library of Congress.
Yeah, just here's where it's not found in the Library of Congress.
So, because we did that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people don't, but we did that. Now, I want to show you how much better the print edition is. I figure if you're going to pay the $8,
Mm-hmm.
we better make it worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It better not just be text. So, not only do you get JC's styling cover, I mean, by the way, it looks good in print.
Yes, it does. It looks very good in print.
You get a nice flashy title page here.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's got some graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not straight text like a lot of these books.
You know how to indent.
Again, it's got some nice graphic design, and it's got artwork. Any of these stories that had original artwork in the Pulp magazine, since they're what?
Sorry, this is actually the first time I've seen this image, and I find it hilarious because it says home therapy and it's a bar with a clock on it.
Yeah. So
what? It doesn't open till beer o'clock.
Yeah, bureau clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
But if a story had artwork in the magazine, most of that artwork is also public domain.
Mm-hmm.
So I've included the original art in the book. Now, if I had the budget, personally, I just have JC illustrate, do an art piece for every one of these.
Mm-hmm. But
we don't have the budget for that. So we're trying to keep this on the cheap.
Well, I do like that it's the original artwork, personally.
So there we go.
Oh, thank you, Tweldy.
Oh, excellent. Very excellent. See some other comments here. No real comments. So, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about Ultraviolet.
Oh, you want to hear about Ultraviolet?
Yeah, because I think the audience does if they have not seen it.
Well,
Because you can watch it on Amazon Prime.
so we're not talking the movie, and we're not talking the TV show that came out in 2017. No. We're talking the mini series that came out in
98.
in 98. Well, it came out in 98 in the UK, and then they ported it over here in 2000. And Ultraviolet was the beginning of a television series in which a specialized organization run by the Vatican, its job is to investigate the activities of vampires and try to stop them from taking over the world, pretty much. Now, on its surface, that sounds
Well, you don't even
pretty-
know if it's take over the world, but they're up to something,
They're up to something. They're definitely, they're up to no good.
including a lot of human experimentation.
Mm-hmm. Lots of human genetics. And the thing is that this show is really freaking smart. It takes a lot of the lore of vampires and puts it in a more realistic light. Not only that, I really appreciate the fact that unfortunately it never got a full run. It's only 6 episodes, but for the 5 out of the 6 episodes, we haven't watched the last one yet.
It is probably one of the smartest vampire portrayals I've ever seen.
It's incredibly smart. You never see fangs, which, let's face it, the moment the fangs come out, that's the make or break point when it comes to vampires. Let's be honest. Usually, if the fangs are stupid, then everything else is goofy as shit. So you never see fangs. Not only that, you hardly see vampires themselves. You more see the aftermath of what they're doing.
Or if you do, you don't know they're vampires till really late.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they had a case where it was a woman's got a vampire fetus in her.
A half-breed, yeah.
Yeah, which was interesting. And it wasn't cheesy.
No, it was not cheesy. It definitely could have gone in the Daywalker direction. But the great thing that I liked about it is that you don't know.
The one that we watched last night where they were doing experiments on people with sickle cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what it was, what they were doing is, with sickle cell, you have to give blood transfusions so that they can have a decent blood circulation. And the vampires were giving synthetic blood, which is real. This stuff is real. And then they were seeing if perhaps they could survive off of that, off of a human that has synthetic blood put into them. That's really smart. Is this viable?
And I think their handling of the Catholic Church and the religious aspect is shockingly respectful, especially for 98.
Very respectful.
I mean, you've got this one scene where the woman who has the undead fetus in her goes to a clinic. She thinks it's an abortion clinic, and it's actually a natal support clinic ran by Christians.
Yeah.
They're not portrayed as crazy.
No.
The portrayal is actually very honest.
Extremely honest and very even-handed.
And, the fact that they're dealing with the question of aborting a vampire fetus and they're ran by the Vatican, and the priest says, it only applies to humans.
Yeah.
You can't abort the dead.
There you go.
Which I thought was, the priest who runs the organization is cool.
Actually, the episode I was really impressed by, as far as how well, even-handed and maturely they dealt with it, was the episode of the boy going to the Catholic school who was being abused.
Yeah.
And that could have gotten really preachy or really finger waggy really quick. And
you never even really find out if the priest is guilty or not.
No, they said flat out he wasn't.
Yeah, the priest wasn't guilty. They just suspected he was.
They were going to pin it on him because it was easy to do so.
And he wasn't guilty.
Yeah. And it was that moral dilemma of, like, well, yeah, it's easy to pin it on him, but he's innocent.
Okay, well, it's a Vatican-funded operation, but it's done in conjunction with the British government, and it's ran like a section of MI5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of a procedural in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a very procedural aspect to it. And they've got guns with what is it, a mirror setup?
Actually, it's a camera.
Yeah, well, it's a camera with a mirror, and basically, if they flash over a target and it's not in the screen,
they know that it's not human.
Yeah, because vampires don't show up on video in this.
Actually, that was another thing I really liked. We've seen, they don't show up in mirrors. We've seen they don't show up on camera before. One thing I liked that they took into account is that they don't, their voices cannot be transmitted electronically either. So it doesn't work with telephones. So they have to use basically a speak and spell if they're going to be calling somebody.
Which I thought was a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, really smart. It's a shame it didn't get more than one season. Real shame.
Oh, and this was one of the first roles for Idris Elba.
He's solid in it.
He is. He's amazing.
Here we go. And as you can see, it definitely has the X-Files vibe in the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like the X-Files. It really isn't.
No, and the thing is I remember when they first ported it over here, they were billing it as an X-Files type show. And that was actually why, yeah, exactly. The tagline there is a dark, stylish vampire thriller for X-Files generation. That was actually the reason why I didn't watch it when it first came out. And I love vampire shit. But I'm like, oh, this is going to be an X-Files ripoff, but it's just with vampires. It's going to be cheap. And so I didn't pay attention. Now I wish I had.
And Kat made a very interesting observation, is that the episodes themselves, now there's a reason for this, by the way, but the episodes themselves have more in common with Standalone Complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's because they're patterning the investigation section after the British, the way the British do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Section 9 in Ghost in the Shell was based on the British system.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So highly recommend. Again, you can watch it for free on Amazon right now. I went ahead and purchased the DVDs. They are out of print. You can get them new, but it's one of those things where once they're gone, they're gone. So highly recommend.
Geez, they don't even have any screen caps.
Mm-hmm. Not really.
Nah.
No, it's just we're gonna stare at the screen we're gonna stare at you, the reader, very intently.
Or viewer.
Sorry.
So, in other news, since people are curious, do you want to talk a bit about the Pulp Project?
We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
So what have you been up to?
Me?
Yeah, you have been working on your own.
Well, I've been well, as you mentioned, Ridiculum is the first in a series of anthologies that we're going to be doing of pulp classics, and I've been busy vetting stories for primarily the robot version or the robot edition, the horror edition, and any other stories I come across that I'm enjoying.
So yeah, so it's going to be Kat and I now doing these.
Mm-hmm.
And we really, really like the idea. We want this to take off more. I mean, it's doing well already. I think it's going to do better now it's in print. We'll start promoting it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to really go full bore into promoting it until the print edition was available, because otherwise you miss out tons and tons of sales. Because there are a lot of people do not read digital, just don't. Anyway. Yeah, you're going to do one on robots because you love robots.
I do love robots.
And you're kind of leading the way on the horror one as well, although I'm helping out. So I did have a question for you guys because we're running into a problem with the Rockets and Ray Gun anthology. Of all of them, that one's kind of turning out to be the hardest. God, I wish, again, I wish Fiona was here. Because she would be the one to ask again.
She might be working.
Yeah, she probably is. The poor woman has to do retail.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I told you he's down with the cool shit.
Yep.
But oh, you're the first to buy the paperback. You rock, Tweldy. Thank you very much. But let me open up the files. The problem we're running into with rockets and ray guns is almost all of these stories, guys, are serialized. And we can't publish a phone book. We would be talking about like, a brick, 500-page brick of a book if we were to just publish like 10 stories.
Well, it would be that serial only.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been reading some of these serials and a lot of them drag because they're being paid by the word. And there are a lot of sentences where it's like, you already said that. Why'd you say it again? And it's not that the writer's bad, it's that the writer's filling space.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Like, for instance, Ray Cummings' Brigands of the Moon. I'm not going to bullshit you. Brigands of the Moon, it was a serial. I found that if you started the serial at chapter 10 and just read to 15, you didn't need any of the other book. It functions perfectly fine.
So the last 5 chapters.
Yeah.
You don't. Is it because it like repeats itself or rehashes what you need to know?
Oh no, you get the whole thing of, well, then we're boarding the rocket ship, and it's a trip to the moon, and on our way to the moon we saw this, and then
one of those.
And on there, and I met this person, and then this happened.
You describe you say that, and that describes the psychic communication of a Martian telling humans what Mars is like.
Really?
In my seance book, that describes it. Like, it's like, and this is what we saw on our way to Mars, and then once we landed, this is all the flora and fauna. And we were greeted by these people, and they did a greeting dance, and it was beautiful.
But yeah, a lot of these stories, not all of them. I mean, some of them are pretty tightly written and no problem at all. But there are others where it's just, would you be okay with some of these being abridged? That's what I'm asking.
I say if it makes for good reading and you're not taking away from the story.
Because like there's this story here. I'm trying to find it. Yeah.
No, it's the fact that you have a story entitled Venus Enslaved by somebody named Manly.
Okay. The War Nymphs of Venus. Okay. I listened to it. It's an enjoyable story. But let me tell you something. It did not need to be 25,000 words.
Mm.
It really did not need to be 25,000 words. And I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I just, as an experiment, decided I would abridge the first chapter. Okay. I turned the first chapter, which was, I think, about 1,500 words, to 360.
Mhm.
Okay. Because we didn't need to know what part of the Florida Bayou they were in and the shape of it and what kind of fish they were going after while they were fishing there. And
Was it important that they're fishing?
yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I found that, well, you saw me doing it.
Mhm.
You saw, I was like, wait a minute, those three sentences say the same thing
Yeah.
in different ways.
Or this sentence has nothing to do with the remainder of the paragraph.
Or there was like a character, and it was like every time they described her, it wasn't enough to say she had pale skin. It was always bluish coral white skin. Her bluish coral white skin. It's like, you don't need to say it more than once.
Mm.
Okay, so you guys are cool with abridging.
They seem fine with it.
I think that it'll make for better stories.
I think so.
But yeah, absolutely. Okay, good. Because yeah, when you can reduce 1,500 words to almost 600,
Yeah.
you got a problem. And it, once you get to the actual meat of the story, that's not a problem. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably part of the genre's problem in general of people going back, is so many of them, they were being paid by the word. Well, shit, isn't that was Dickens' problem, right?
That's my problem with his writing. Yeah, I mean, the one that's absolutely a joy to read, A Christmas Carol, he wasn't being paid by the word. He just was writing for the joy of it. But Tale of Two Cities, he was being paid for the word, and damn was he gonna milk it for all it was worth.
Okay, you know what? I got an idea.
Okay.
I've got me an idea.
What you doing?
All right.
Are you comparing?
Yeah, I want you to read this one, and then we'll read the abridged.
Okay. I was fishing for tarpon, lolling back in the stern of my small boat. The outboard motor, running at trolling speed, was a puttering purr in the drowsing watery silence. It was sunset of a summer eve. It was sunset of a summer evening of 1948. That's a sentence. Okay. The Gulf of Mexico, out beyond the mouth of the little Florida Bayou inlet across which I was heading, was a glassy expanse, blood red in the light of the huge setting sun. To the south, lighting was playing along the orange sky. I recall that a vague uneasiness was upon me, because a storm might be coming. Surely it was not that. I was within 3 miles of the small island where young Jack Allen and I were camping. It was my intention to head for there presently, especially as there had been no sign of tarpon. Allen had been too lazy to come fishing. He had said he would loaf and have supper ready for us at dark. My name is Kent Fanning. Jack Allen and I were of an age, 24 that summer. With our business in New York, we were here on vacation, having a permit to fish and to camp on the small uninhabited island. The intermittent lighting of the southern horizon rose higher. Faint muttering thunder was audible. A massive gray-white cloud was down there now, a thunderhead coming northward with the storm behind it. I had decided to pull in my line and head for the island when suddenly I had a strike, the big wheel humming as the line went out. A tarpon? I hooked it, shut the motor off. Sat erect with my stout rod bracing. Sat erect with my stout rod braced in the leather socket of my belt. I was prepared for a long struggle.
Okay, the abridged version.
That's like half the size. Okay. I was fishing for tarpon, lolling back in the stern of my small boat. The outboard motor, running a trolling speed, was a puttering purr in the watery silence. Out beyond the mouth of the little Florida bayou, across which I was heading, was a glassy expanse, blood red in the light of the huge setting sun. To the south, lighting was playing along the orange sky. I recall a vague uneasiness was upon me. The intermittent lighting rose higher. Faint muttering thunder was audible. A massive gray-white
Thunderhead.
You have a thunderhead. So
Gray-white thunderhead.
Gray-white thunderhead was coming northward with the storm behind it. I had decided to pull in my line and head for the island where young Jack Allen and I were camping, when suddenly the big reel humming as the line went out. A tarpon? I hooked it, shut off the motor, sat with my stout rod braced in the leather socket of my belt. I was prepared for a long struggle. Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Like just get to the point.
The difference is those two things tell you all you need to know. One is 157 words. The other is 287 words.
Well, you don't need to know that he and somebody who's not in the scene yet are 24. You don't need to know a lot of other things.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
It's like just get to the point. Hell, even if it was a novel and not a short story, there's a lot there that you just don't need.
We'll see what the audience thinks of the before and after abridgment.
He struggled with his rod. Yes, that's quite a sentence. And I know that people wrote differently back then, but no, there's something wrong with that sentence.
Yeah, I mean, some of these writers didn't fudge it and get just overwrite. Then there are others, and unfortunately, a lot of these rocket and ray gun writers, they were getting paid by the word. Damn it!
Yeah,
the struggle is real.
Mm-hmm.
Shorter is better.
But with that said, then there's other stories that I've read from this era where whether they were being paid by the word or not, they just seem to like shotgun all this information at you all at once, and don't even take the time to try to weave it naturally into the story. And it's just even worse than this, where it's like, I was age 24 and I was taking a vacation here and I was doing this here. They just shove all this backstory at you because they want to have the real estate to tell the rest of their story, but for some reason they feel you need to know all this shit.
The beauty of that was the beauty of Harlan Ellison when he got into writing pulps, which was fuck everything. I'm just going to tell you the story. If you don't need to know this, fuck it. You don't need to know this.
And the thing is that's a writing style that I've grown to really appreciate. Unless you need to know it, you don't need to know it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to master, but when done right, it's wonderful because it's really immersive. And it's like a more intelligent version of just don't think about it. It's like, you don't need to know this right now. It's okay. The main character knows what they're talking about, and that's what's important. You don't need to know it unless you need to know it.
Exactly. Now I'm going to actually surprise you. Okay.
Okay.
Read this.
It's from the Golden Amazon. Okay. But this is the original Golden Amazon,
Right.
right? Okay.
Now, we've read the novels
Yeah.
of the rebooted Golden Amazon, which were a slog sometimes.
They were well, we skipped whole chapters actually, because some of them just dragged. But this is where she's more of a wild woman, right?
Well, yeah, what it is she's a kind of a cross between Sheena and Doc Savage.
Yeah.
She was a girl whose family crashed on Venus, and she was raised in the jungles of Venus, and due to the Venusian atmosphere, so she got mutated, and so she's super strong and super smart, and
she's all of the things.
She's a superhero, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Chris Wilson was rather proud of his position as acting superintendent of the New York Lunar Observatory. For 5 years now, he had ruled over the staff of this unique building in the very heart of New York, admiring and admired by his staff. The main object of the place was to chart a titanic map of the moon from some 7 million separate three-dimensional photographs, a task which demanded perpetual nightly accuracy at the controls of the monstrous photographic reflector in the building's summit. More often than not, Chris worked the reflector alone, sitting, a shock-haired, broad-shouldered figure in the center of the controlling machinery, his fingers playing on an apparatus resembling a typewriter keyboard which controlled the mammoth so close to him. In a way, it was monstrous, but interesting. At least it was a life job, and that in the frantic, haste-mad world of 2060 was worth having.
Now, that's better written than his rebooted version.
Yeah.
The writing here is far more solid and not rambly. This version of Golden Amazon is written better than his later work. Why?
Was he collecting a check later? Here he's filled with passion.
I don't know.
It's like, well, it's a living.
The weird thing was when I was going to, I said, well, I probably should include at least one Golden Amazon story.
Mm-hmm.
And the rebooted version that we read to the audience last summer, it's very difficult to get a hold of. I would have to hand transcribe it. I found the original prints. The copies are so faded, I would have to transcribe it by hand. The computer can't read it.
Ouch.
But the older version, when she was more of a Doc Savage character, are readily available. And I'm like, okay, I'll include a couple of these since they're famous. It's like, shit, these are good. I was like, what happened? What the hell happened?
Again, I gotta wonder, is it,
I mean, and they're not unintentionally funny like the reboot one. Look, I don't know why you're against me. All I want to do is take an infant child and experiment on it.
Yeah. Why am I the bad guy?
Actual scene, guys.
Yeah.
If you weren't there for our readings of Golden Amazon.
Yeah, he goes in front of basically the medical board of the earth and says, I need a human child to do experiments on.
Yeah.
And when they run him out, he doesn't understand why.
Yeah. How dare they? They're narrow-minded, narrow-minded idiots. They didn't know what we was doing. He would do it anyway. Yeah. He steals a baby.
Yeah, he steals a baby.
And he's the good guy.
Yeah.
Maybe. It sounds like the trans movement. The thing is the reboot of the Golden Amazon, frankly, that is one that is worth abridging. If that was abridged, it would be readable, and it's a great concept. Because essentially the guy decides, it was like the Marston idea. He thought, well, I'm going to make a woman that can rule the world. Yeah. I'll make a woman who's smarter and stronger than everyone, and she'll rule the world, and that will save mankind.
And because, she's female and gentle, she'll be a good influence on people.
And in fact, she turns out to be an absolute monster.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's like, well, you really fucked up.
Yeah, she's a narcissistic sociopath.
Yeah.
Who is not above killing people to get what she wants.
The one that got me was when that one guy crossed her.
Mm-hmm.
So she killed him and then flew over his house and dropped his body through the skylight of his mansion so that his dead body would land in front of his family.
Yeah. And it's like, are we rooting for her, or is she the villain?
Yeah.
That was the thing with that story, is like, are we supposed to be rooting for her, or is she the villain?
Yeah. The writer was quite infatuated with his character. I can say that much.
Well, the fact that, her sister is an utter dingbat,
Yeah.
and the male heartthrob protagonist is an utter moron who's a jinx.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude keeps crashing any vehicle that he's in.
But he's an ace pilot.
Yeah.
Except every vehicle he gets in crashes.
Including cars.
Yeah.
Like, dude just should walk.
Anyway, actually, come to think of it, let me grab something.
What are you grabbing?
Let's see if I can find it.
What are you looking for? Time prawn? Oh, pawn. I thought it said time prawn. Considering it's a Philip K. Dick story, it'd be very appropriate. I wouldn't be shocked if Philip K. Dick did a story about a time-traveling shrimp.
I kind of want to do one now.
You want a time prawn?
Okay, real quickly, everyone. Just cuz. This is the face of the man who created the Golden Amazon. This is the guy that essentially wanted a superhuman woman that beat the crap out of him.
You don't say.
Yeah. There you go.
Adam Quirk, Clayton Drew, Golden Amazon, and Herbert.
Thornton Irie.
What the hell is Herbert? I am now curious.
Oh, these were all his series. Okay.
Yeah, but it says that he wrote a series entitled Herbert.
I don't know. I haven't come across it. But yeah. But yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. It's kind of interesting what stories are good and what aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Some that are very solidly written, and others just get over with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ironcast is also familiar with Frankenstein Radio.
Oh, there you go.
Frankenstein Radio. I made a video.
I know you made a video.
Where I used some of that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm shocked more people didn't sample Frankenstein Radio. Seriously. Especially in like the industrial scene.
Eraserhead.
I mean, isn't that like something you'd expect Snog to
Yes,
sample?
actually I do. So that's kind of what I expect Snog, was it David Thrussell of Snog to actually talk like.
Yeah. Oh, do you think he's devolved into
He's
Frankenstein
not,
Radio?
Yeah, he's nuts.
Well, I know he lives in a Twinkie in the Australian outback.
I kind of want, yeah, Francis E. Deck was quite, you can't talk about the weirdos you talk, oh wait, no, this was the center.
I can talk about the center all I want.
The guy who said that the United States wasn't the United States, it was a map, one size map.
Yeah, no. The dude said that the earth that we live on, the actual like ground beneath your feet, is not the actual earth. That the actual earth is much smaller and it's underneath what's under our feet. And that what we're actually walking around on is a painted map made out of canvas that is suspended with columns and things, so that we don't realize that we're just walking on this painted canvas, and that the real owners of the planet are underneath us. He refused to tell me what was underneath, though.
Didn't you also say? Didn't you get someone who said he was receiving mind control signals from the moon?
No. I had a guy who said he didn't say he was receiving those signals. He was
Oh, of
saying,
course not him.
no.
It was some other person that was telling him.
No. He knew that that I actually by my answers trying to help him with his identity theft issue, and I legitimately don't know what his issue was because he never really got to it, but he said that he knew that I was being controlled from Mars, and that he didn't hold it against me. He said that that he thought that I was a nice person, but that I unfortunately didn't know that I was being controlled, and that the words that were coming out of my mouth, they were telling me to tell him. And the more I tried to get answers out of him, the more evasive he got. The more he just said, "No, look, your overlords are trying to tell you, are telling you to say these things to me. It's just not true. You're being told to do this." And I wasn't going anywhere with the conversation. He was refusing to tell me more about what was happening. So finally, I just said, "Okay, so you're saying that I'm being controlled." He goes, "Yes." I'm like, that what I'm saying to you now is not actually me talking, it's my overlords talking. And he says, "Yes, that's exactly it." And I said, "So that means that they're listening to this conversation." And he got quiet. And I go, "So they're hearing you tell me this information in order to have me tell you back what their responses are to that information." He hung up.
Really?
Yep.
Very interesting.
It's like it didn't occur to him that it went both ways.
Very, very interesting.
It's just, dude, I would have, sat and listened to whatever the fuck he wanted to tell me, because that was the most interesting thing I had heard all year. But he was just going into a logic circle. So it's like, okay, let's end this. Let's see how far his rabbit hole is going to go and see if he responds to this. And his response was hanging up.
How committed are you to this delusion, sir?
But no, the dude who said that the Earth was a painting, I'm trying to remember what his deal was. I think he was. I think it basically broke down to the overlords who lived under the ground had stolen his wallet.
Well, that's a thing that happens sometimes.
And so he was reasonable when I was telling him, well, okay, if you want to protect yourself from them stealing your wallet, you have to cancel your debit card, you have to call the DMV, you have to do all this other stuff. And he was very receptive to all that, and he was very thankful that I was there to help him. But it's just, he wanted to make sure that I knew that he didn't just lose it. It was that it was taken by those who live under the canvas, because you have the planet Earth, and then you have the world which we live on, and the world is the painting.
Was this man David Cage from the Hobo Illuminati? Okay.
Actually, I do think the dude was homeless, unfortunately. But oh well.
Oh, well.
That was years ago.
It's good that I don't work those kinds of jobs.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I could help myself.
What, telling people shit?
Yeah, if you started saying, well, they're telling you to say that.
Well, that's why I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw some logic at you. If you're really that paranoid, you do know they're listening then.
Nah, I think I'd be like, yes, actually. And what's that? They're telling me that they have cameras in your house.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that would be bad.
They're telling me that they're in your attic.
Mm.
They've been peeing in your food, in your water bottle. In the middle of the night, they get up and stick your pennies in their ass.
Oh, God. Ass pennies.
Ass pennies. Points if you remember that one, guys.
Yes.
All right, so Wow, it's been 49 minutes. Doesn't even feel
has.
like it.
It has been.
What else? Do we see
Mm.
Janelle tomorrow?
That we do.
We're doing a show from here
We'll do the show on Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Okay, so she won't be in town till Tuesday for us.
She's coming up tomorrow to hang out, and then they're going to Tombstone, and then on Tuesday she wants to do a show with us. The normal Three's Company show. She wants to do that
Okay.
on Tuesday, but live in the studio.
With ass pennies.
What will probably happen is you and her will sit in here, and I'll go broadcast from my computer.
That makes sense.
Because there's only one headset, so.
Makes sense. That works.
And then we'll bring Ralts on. Yay!
And what will we do? Do we have anything planned?
What, for the show?
Yeah.
Nope.
Why not?
Because we don't. Other than if that's the night we want to sample. I was going to say something lewd. If we want to sample her alcohol.
I'm kind of going to probably just sip it. I don't know. The caloric count that she says that stuff contains kind of frightens me.
I figure it's the equivalent of like the once a year treat.
I think I'll still just have a very small serving.
Okay.
I mean, it's like this. I don't want to be in a situation like what was it, the Chantico?
It's not going to be the Chantico, believe me. It's not going to be Chantico.
Okay, or like cough syrup.
I don't think it'll be like cough syrup because the yeast in the alcohol would have eaten up the sugar.
Do you want to tell them the cough syrup story?
Oh, okay. That's not cough syrup. Oh. For those of you who are not aware, they do not have to put the sugar content of cough syrup on the label. So, because it's not considered a food, it's considered a medicine. So they don't need to put the nutritional value on the side of those things. And we discovered after having con plague one year that
it's like, why are we putting on weight?
Yeah, we're not eating. Why are we putting on
Nothing's changed in our diet. Why are we putting on weight?
Well, what did change was we weren't eating.
And then I checked online the caloric count of, what was it, NyQuil?
It was a Robitussin.
Robitussin. And it was almost 150. It was 190 calories a dose.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
And so it's like a meal in one of those little cups.
Right.
So if you have 4 of those cups a day,
Yeah. Along with your regular food. I mean, holy crap.
Food. Yeah. And it's sugar, which means the body immediately wants to try to store it, especially when you're sick and you're not doing anything. You're just laying down.
There you go. You want to spank that?
No.
Or do you want her to spank you?
I want to do other things. But yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've done enough damage for the night.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday. Oh, wait.
So when we'll get in Adventures in Awful on Empress Teresa?
I
don't think I can do any better than Down the Rabbit Hole, honestly.
Although
I can try, but
on Goodreads, I did post a review of Empress Teresa. So you could get that if you really want my opinion.
There you go.
It's quite an entertaining review. I gave it 5 stars. I said it was better than the Bible, better than Shakespeare, and that it was actually the most important book ever written.
Yes.
And that changed my life.
Yes, indeed.
That no human accomplishment could ever top this triumph. Yeah. Oh, you still want to know what that beauty's name is? Oh God, what I forget her name. Mistress Morgana. I think it is. Let's see. Oh, it's Morgane Hell, or Morgan Hell is her name. So there you go, Morgan Hell with one L. Does that answer your question? That make you feel better? What?
You?
I don't know. I'm in a very, very strange place right now.
I noticed.
Oh yeah, actually, I was going to ask you, Ironcast. I have 2 J.Ishiro Finnies on the Discord for some reason.
He meant the Muscle Beauty.
Oh, let's see if I have the name. And so I don't know if I got it or not. I would really, really recommend you email. No name attached. I'm sorry. So I don't know who that is. I suppose I could do a Google image search and it might come up. So yeah, hold on, Ironcast. Just email me directly. There it is. So what do you think the most perverse thing is you've ever done?
In general, or
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that.
I don't know what your parameters are for that.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to coax weird answers out of you. Let's see. Where else could I take it?
I have no idea.
What's the weirdest thing you've overheard in a changing room?
I don't listen to people in changing rooms.
I can't help it.
No, when I'm in public, I have a hard time actually, it's all noise to me, people talking.
I remember once being in a Mervyn's during one of those stupid Black Friday sales, and a couple booths down, I must have been like 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
I hear some kid say, "But Mom, this one has skid marks in it."
Wow.
Yeah, that was the most bizarre thing I think I've ever heard in a changing room.
I do know that in specifically Walmart's, ladies should not try on any of the lingerie
Because
you'll get people who come in and use it and they just put it back on the rack. They don't clean it.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't try on the lingerie, and when you get it home, wash it. That was weird.
We were automatically kicked off of our own stream. That may be a hint. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.